Hello, gay men. Welcome to Coming Inside Out. I am your host, Brian James, along with my co host, Mark Dembo. And today we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Joe Kort. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely.
We are thrilled to have you here, Dr. Joe. Before we kind of jump in, do you want to just tell us a little bit? I know probably a number of our listeners are familiar with you and some of your work, but maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and we can kind of dive into our conversation.
Sure, yes, I've been a therapist actually in May of 2025 of 40 years. I was 22 when I started this work. And I went into private practice in 93 and I've written 7 books and I have a group practice here in Royal Oak, Michigan, right outside Detroit. And my biggest claim to fame is that I coined the term side for gay men who don't top and who don't bottom, and I'm also a side. And probably what elevated my national and international presence is not just my authored books and different things I've done, but TikTok. Really, I have almost 700,000 followers, and that really brought my platform up to a bigger level. So that's me.
Wow. Well, thank you again so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for, again, having me.
So one of the things, that we hear a lot from our listeners, especially men who are coming out later in life, is how do you deal with the whole process of coming out? You've lived your life one way for so long, and suddenly either you come to the discovery yourself or don't want to be hidden anymore. Curious, from your perspective, Joe, what are you seeing in your practice and the men that you work with, especially for men coming out later in life? What are some of the key things that you see that they're dealing with?
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't even realize how much I saw heterosexually married gay men coming out of the closet until I wrote my first book. It's called 10 Smart Things Gay Men Can Do to Improve Their Lives. And people were like, how come all the examples, so many of them are gay guys who were married? And it wasn't until then that somebody reflected that back. And I think it's because back in the 90s, I wrote that book in the 2000s, but in the 90s, I was seeing we're very, in the Midwest here, very conservative. So a lot of these guys were coming to me recognizing, people think, oh, you already knew you were gay. And why would you have married a woman? You knew that you had same-sex attraction. You didn't know that your identity was gay. I always say this over and over again. People think if I'm attracted to men, I already know I'm gay, and it's just not true. And one of the top things I would see these guys, a couple of things, grieving the loss of heterosexual privilege, right? So now, grieving the loss of a woman they loved, really loved. I mean, I would hear a lot of horror stories of gay guys that would marry women just as a beard. Those are not the men I meet in my practice.
Yeah.
They're not, and I'm sure they're not the two of you. It's really gay guys. That's their person. They fell in love with her, and leaving her, it's even though it's the right thing and they come out, it's always a grieving for them.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, this leads me to I wrote down a question that I wanted to ask you, and this is exactly what I want to ask you. When I was married, my wife and I had intimacy, we had a connection, we had love. When we separated and divorced, my soul just ached. My soul felt
Yeah.
so lonely. What do you recommend that men do with that aching loss? Because to me it comes across as lonely, and I hate for me to walk around saying I'm lonely all the time. What do you recommend we do with that emptiness that we're left with?
I don't know that you can get rid of the emptiness. I think it's managing it, and it's not. I hear you saying lonely. I don't know that it's about lonely. It's that part of you that fell in love with her, had children, and that was going to be your life. It's
Yes.
almost like watching a movie where the two people love each other but can't be together, and the reason is that you're gay and she's straight, and it's always going to be with you. That's what I've seen in my work with these men. It's always with them. It's always a regret. It's not really a regret. They love their lives. They love their new husbands, or they're, coming out gay. But there's a feeling of regret because it's not what they wanted either.
Yes. All right.
So I want to go back to one of the things that you just said there in the opening about guys coming out later in life knowing, you look back, okay, there was a same-sex attraction, but not recognizing or not identifying as gay. I want to go into that a little bit more because I think that for so many of us, or when you do come out, the reaction from the spouse is, has our whole life been a lie? Why did you ever marry me? And I know in my case and Brian's, that certainly was not the case, right?
Right.
I still love my wife. We still have a very close relationship.
Good.
But it was very hard when I first came out. That was the reaction. And that also, I find like, it leads to a lot of guilt and shame. And so I'm curious, how do you help unpack, peel back the layers of that and distinguish those two things, which are really very different?
You have to go back to childhood. We're only raising children to believe and to know that they're heterosexual and cisgender, period. So you are taught over and over and over repeatedly you're heterosexual. So if you're anything else, you can't go to someone and say, well, God, I don't feel like any of this applies to me, right? You have to, like, even today, kids don't have permission to come out and tell people that they, feel so differently. So they have to go to the internet, or we went to books in my generation, or, library books that had, whatever information, but you still didn't know that your identity, which is, I always say this, we have a sexual orientation to whom we're attracted. Men, women, both, neither. And then we have an erotic orientation, the things that get us off, the things that bring us to orgasm. They're separate. Sometimes they're overlapped, but sometimes they're not. So you can have erotic images and attractions to men, but think you're straight and that it's just a kink.
Hmm.
No. I resonate with
I
that.
guess just, sorry, Brian, go ahead.
No, that's all I had to say. Yes, I get it.
Yeah. So I think part of that, then kind of going into that a little bit further, for men, as you come to that realization, so again, speaking from my own experience, right? You live your life, you live this heteronormative life, and it's not like suddenly one day, a switch went off and I became gay. But you get to that point where you say, well, suddenly I can't live this way anymore. And I'm curious, like, is there, what do you see? Like, what shifts? What is it that there's, kind of why suddenly for men in their 40s, 50s, suddenly saying, I can't do this anymore?
Their identity starts pushing out, over a lifetime. And there are stages to coming out, and there are 6 of them actually. And I wish I had the list. I was going to have them for your program. I don't, but I'll just say that it starts with you're in denial, you're riddled with internalized homophobia. Then, it moves to, well, maybe let me go out into the community and see if just because you're gay doesn't mean you know what kind of gay you are. There's lots of different ways to be gay. And then you move into the identity pride, which is you can't push it back down. It's done. You become an activist all of a sudden. You're in pride parades. You're wearing pride T-shirts. You're
Yes.
whatever it is, right? And then everybody's gay until proven. What's that?
We've been there. Mark and I have.
Yeah,
both been
right.
there.
We all right. So it's really once you know what your identity, once it clicks and integrates, there's no going back.
Yeah. Yeah. And then how about the guilt that comes along with that, right? Suddenly, in my case, Brian's case, we were both married for 30 plus years. Now you're flooded with this guilt. Our spouses, our ex-spouses, they didn't ask for any of this. And
Right.
So many of us spend so much time, trying to straddle that, or feeling like I can't leave this situation because of my own guilt and the hurt that I'm causing other people.
It's like a romantic tragedy. Because the mixed orientation couples that I've met over the 40 years love each other. They don't want anything to change. They try to make it work. Some do, some don't. But he wants to keep everything the same because he loves her, he loves his family, but he wants to add to his life because now he knows he's gay and he wants to socialize, he wants to, sexualize. Where the wife wants to keep everything the same, but she loses a piece of the marriage because now she has to deal with the loss of having somebody who's monogamous with her. And the guilt on the gay guy is so awful. And it can be, sadly, I've seen some women, some female partners, fuel that guilt and use it against them. It's terrible. Now, some women will
Yes.
do it initially and then it goes away. But some women make a whole lifetime an identity out of being a victim from it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And rope the kids into it as well, which is
Awful.
terrible.
Which I think
Yes.
then that woman doesn't have any maternal instinct. I'm sorry.
Yes.
For anybody to do that to their children removes any instinct of any kind of parenting.
I agree. So during this turmoil or this conflict and this guilt, a lot of men will act out. What are some tools or what are some ways that you recommend that people take care of themselves? Like love themselves and, I'll just segue for a second. Mark and I both do a lot of meditation. I read, I journal, I exercise. So I take care of myself that way. What are other ways that you recommend men take care of themselves?
That's a really good question. I mean, those are good ways. And obviously getting some coaching, getting some therapy, getting the support group. I love that you have the support group. That's crucial to having a sense of belonging, which we miss out on. We miss out on having, a gay niche, growing up in high school and middle school. It's different in many ways today, but still just having that sense of belonging and making sure you have some advocates for your well-being.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've talked about that, before too, that whole idea, that community. And
Yes.
the other thing, and I'd be curious to know your experience or your view on this. I know, speaking from my own experience, I found once I came out and started finding some of that community, for the first time in my life, I have formed much closer friendships with men than I ever had in my life. And and it's just part of being able to not feel like you're hiding who you are. Even if I think back, it's like, well, I wasn't consciously hiding, but there was I was, and I think that got in the way. So I'm just curious, again, is that a common pattern you see, and how do we help men get through that as they're going through this process?
Um, I don't think I understand. So you mean that you were hiding and now you're not hiding? Is that right?
Right. Yeah. So it enables more friendships to form. I know I kind of threw a lot into that
Oh,
question.
oh no, I see what you're saying. Okay. So the idea being that you don't have a barrier anymore. You don't have
Yeah.
your guard isn't up. It's
Yes.
lowered because you can be free. So then that
Yes.
and by the way, when that happens, I have noticed gay men having better sex with their wives after that. Even though he's just come out as gay, his guard is down and his inhibitions are down, and it confuses both of them. How come I'm more into her? How come he's more into me? But it's not really. It's a short-lived thing because
Hmm.
right? You probably already know this. Over time, it's really more about the men.
Well, so I did want to go back to what you were talking about before along those lines of, as guys come out, try and make a mixed orientation marriage work. Where do for those that are trying to stay in a marriage, what makes that work? What has to be in play? Why do they work? Why do they not work?
So that's a great question. They
And
work
do they work?
often. They do. They
Oh,
can.
they okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But it has to be an open marriage. And it depends, right? Some men don't need they might watch porn and erotica, and that's enough for them. Other men need to go out and experience it. Some men don't need a relationship with men. Some want a relationship with men. There's so many different. But usually the wife says, "There's a line in the sand. No, no way." And if you do this, the marriage is over. And so then he says, okay, and he recommits to the marriage and tries to make it work, and of course it doesn't. And then her line in the sand will change and move because she wants to stay married to him. And I've always been a big I've been popular amongst gay mixed orientation marriages because I don't have a bias. You know, a lot of therapists do. If you're gay, get on with your gay life. If you're a straight woman, get on with your straight life. I don't believe that. If that's what you want, I'm all let's do it. But I want you to find your own way. And there's a million ways. You may even create a way that doesn't even exist on this planet yet, you know?
Wow. Well, this is what I have to say to that, and I think that Mark would agree with me because this has happened for him more recently. When you come out as gay and you move out and you move into your own space and you have the freedom to just be you in your own space, decorate it the way that you want, host people, invite friends. I mean, if you're still in a marriage, you're not allowed that same freedom. And that freedom, oh, it is just, I mean, it's joyful to be able
Hmm.
to allow that into your life. So they're missing out on that.
Right. It's like you go through a gay adolescence, I call it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. I
Yes.
think
But
we've
yeah,
all been there.
real quickly, a couple of weeks ago, Mark and I were talking on the show that the founder of Crumble Cookies had come out as gay.
Hmm.
And that was a couple of weeks ago. And what I'm seeing in social media over the last couple of weeks is there is this freedom with this guy. There's posts of him, now he's shirtless and he's on the beach and he's here and he's there and he's just like celebrating. So here was somebody who was so seemingly, I don't know him, but seemingly so afraid to come out because his life was going to implode and it's just going to be such negative experience, and just the opposite. It just like releases you. It like takes the handcuffs off of you and who you are allowed to be. So it's a celebration is what it is.
Yes, and it's a shame reduction, right? The shame
Yes.
that we were taught to have from childhood.
Yeah, I have a buddy that we just went out last weekend. We were in WeHo, a group of gay fathers. He's the newest one out. And knowing him for the last 3 years when he was closeted and still in his marriage, and seeing him over the weekend where he is just like, happiness doesn't describe it. It's so much more than happiness. It is just this freedom.
Now, I will tell you, I have recommend to my clients that are gay that if you want a really good type of boyfriend, you want a guy who's been heterosexually married. Not who is sex
Yes.
heterosexually married, let me just be clear, but who has been because you have been trained by a woman on how to be in a relationship and you have ability to commit, ability to attach, ability to be secure, ability to be stable, and a lot of gay men don't have that. And it's not
Yes.
because we're gay, it's because we're men and we're not socialized to be that way. But the gay men that I've ever worked with that are fathers and heterosexually married, they're a different breed.
Yeah, because we had to have conflict resolution in our lives. When you have nothing that's attaching you to somebody other than an apartment lease or something, and I'm not saying you can't own a home together, but we have children. So when conflict came up, we had to be able to resolve it within the marriage for our relationship, for our children, for just our everything, for the family dynamic. I notice that a lot of men that have not been married, that do not have children, have not had long term relationships. And maybe that's why.
Well, and it forces you to be other focused. I'm not saying gay men can't be other focused. I'm totally other focused. It's just my personality. But a lot of men are not, and a lot of gay men are not.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
self focused.
and is that coming from the fact of okay being men, or is there a part of um being gay, growing up gay, if excluding those of us who went, lived a hetero life, um, but it's there's a sense of, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but there can be that sense if you're growing up gay, and I think even for some of us who were closeted, but there's still always this sense of trying to prove your worthiness
Yeah.
And, when you take two men that are both trying to do the same thing, now that leads to conflict, and you don't have the tools to say, how do we resolve that conflict?
Yes, that's true. Yes. That's right. And it is this very self-absorbing thing to grow up suppressing your homosexuality, right? Because you're always on guard. Is it safe or is it dangerous? Are you
Yeah.
safe or are you dangerous? You're hyper vigilant. And so it makes sense that you are so self-focused. But then when gay men come out and they get into their communities, I don't see a lot. I see a lot of people staying self-involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question for you regarding open relationships.
Mhm.
When I was married, I wasn't a swinger. My wife and I weren't swingers, so we had a monogamous relationship. So I don't know the percentage of marriages that are swingers, but in the gay community, it seems like there's a lot of open relationships. What drives that? Is there something that drives that in the gay community?
I think it's being male, and the understanding is, hey, you're my person, you're my secure base. I love you. I'm always going to come back to you, but I don't want you to be the only guy I play around with. I want to have some fun. I want to have transactions that are in addition to you, not instead of you. And it's tolerable for both guys. I also think it's being socialized as male, so our closeness isn't as intense or as much in general. I'm speaking in generalizations as female couples are, or as couples with women in it. I'm not saying that women can't be open, but I think women are more relational. So if they're going to be open, it becomes a more relational thing. When men are open, it's more transactional. And the percentages of gay guys that are open, the couples, is around 50% is what they're saying. And people argue, is it more, is it less? But it is high.
Okay. Wow. All right.
But
Yeah.
I think
I
you hit on something really important there. And you talked about, the attachment, or having secure attachment, right? I mean, I think that seems like that has to be a starting point versus, a free for all. And I think along with that would be, you've got to have strong communications, right? What are the rules of play? Do we play together? Do we play alone? What do we share? What don't we share? Because otherwise, it would seem that that's where you're going to get into trouble with it. Does that jibe with
That is
your
true.
experience?
But it's also true with monogamy. I always say to people, have you negotiated your monogamy? You're not just negotiating an open relationship. People are like, what is there to negotiate? Well, can you masturbate privately? Can you look at porn? Can you talk to somebody you are enjoying, a model on Instagram? Can you have webcam sex with somebody in Romania? And one partner will say, absolutely not, that's cheating. And the other partner will say, of course, that's monogamy. Couples fight over contracts they've never made,
Hmm.
especially
wow.
around
All right.
monogamy.
Yeah,
So that's
that's a
more
real good point.
emotional cheating, obviously, than anything else. But I mean, I would consider that cheating also.
But your partner might not. So that's why you guys got
This
to
is true.
negotiate it. What is cheating? What isn't?
Yes. Wow. All right. Dr. Joe, what are some red flags you see in the gay community, men our ages coming out?
When you say red flags, like what do you mean?
Well, what are the red flags we should be avoiding?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I mean, it's hard, right? Because if you're coming out and you're in identity pride, which is your gay adolescence, you're going to be operating like an adolescent. So if you say to a teenager, hey, stop fucking around so much and have safer sex and be careful about the people you're with, they're going to say, yeah, 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 yeah. And they're going to go do whatever they want. And same with gay guys coming out. They're in their adolescence, so they're having a lot of sex, unprotected sex sometimes, oftentimes. They're putting themselves in situations that they shouldn't be in because they're in a compulsive place because they're trying to integrate their sexuality. It will go away. Just like in adolescence, it goes away, it subsides. But the red flags are, and I don't know that the gay guys can really stop themselves, but they can educate themselves. That's what I do as a therapist. I'm
Okay.
always educating. How can you do this in a safer way, making better decisions?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I know that, we jump online, we look for the immediate gratification of the connection with another man or the release with another man. But in that, at least for myself, I've been a responsible husband and parent for most of my life. So in the back of my mind, I kind of know what is okay and what really is a red flag. And it's like stopping myself from moving forward with what I know deep down inside really isn't best for me.
Yeah, it's hard because you've been suppressing, repressing,
Yeah.
oppressing yourself for so long that people just want to. That's the whole song.
Yeah.
I'm coming out. I want the world to know. I want to let it all show.
Yeah.
Right.
And we
Exactly.
don't want to just add more guilt to the guilt that we're trying to recover from. So, yeah. All right.
So I think one of those challenges, right, as we go through that gay adolescence, to whatever extent any of us may go through it, of our, as some of my friends have called it, my host age. Um, but how do you? We all want to get past that, right? You want to be dating, you want to find those relationships, and you've got guys that have been in a marriage for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and all of a
Yes.
sudden, there's a whole bunch of things that are different. One, for a lot of us, when we were dating women, it was, oh, let me find somebody that I can feel comfortable with and not have to be in this uncomfortable position of when people say, so are you dating? When are you getting married? When are we having grandkids, right? Now I'm going to date men, which I've never done before. It's a different world full of apps and social media. And I don't even know, well, what tribe am I? Where do I
Right.
belong? What's my type? So I'm just curious, do you have any, advice, guidance? What have you seen in your work that helps men kind of figure out, how do I navigate all this?
They have. I always say you got to get out there and experiment. Go to different settings. Go to Bear Week. In Saugatuck or Provincetown or whatever. Go mix with different age groups. Start to see where different races, different ethnicities, religions, whatever it is. Don't prevent yourself or stop yourself from experimenting. I will say one of the other red flags. I don't know if it's a red flag, but I think they would say that it's a red flag for themselves. Guys our age who are only interested in people half our age, right?
Mhm.
Normal. There's nothing wrong with that. You missed those years, and so now you're trying to make up for those years, and you might be frozen there because that's where emotionally you are. I mean, I've been out since I'm 11. I came out to my therapist at 14. I'm 62 years old. I was always attracted to daddies until I turned 50. And I woke up one day and I was like, oh my God, I'm not attracted to guys my age anymore. Only these guys that are half my age. And I used to make fun of my husband because I'm like, the guy just looks like he had his bar mitzvah. Not really, but I would like make fun of him. And now I'm that guy. So it could happen even if you've already been out. But I think our community, it always used to be okay when I was a younger guy in the gay male community. Today, the younger gay guys think it's negative. They call older gay guys that are attracted to them pedophiles. Do you know this? You're
Wow.
a
No.
Really?
pedophile if you're attracted to a younger guy, like
Wow.
in their 20s.
But it seems like there's
I
still a big
typically
daddy
find that
culture, though.
young. What's that?
I said it seems like there's still a big daddy culture where the young guys are
Oh
Yes.
attracted
yeah,
to older
and
guys.
there
Yeah.
is then there's those guys absolutely that they're attracted to. Sadly, guys my age will be in here saying, "Oh my God, I found Mr. Right. He's half my age. He's in love with me. He wants to have all the sex with me." And I'm like, he's probably fetishizing you. And even though we're older, we're like fetishized. And it turns out, yeah. So he falls in love, sadly, with the guy when the guy's just wanting to have some fun with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I find that for the most part, younger men are attracted to me, and I have said, I'm a father, but I'm not your daddy.
Right. Right. I already
Well, I
am
say
one.
I'm
Yeah.
not a father, but I am your daddy.
Oh, there you go. I love that. That's so funny.
So tell us a little bit more, Joe. How did you come? You mentioned coining the term "side," which I know you've become well known for that. Um, Tell us a little bit more about that. And I think for a lot of guys, again, kind of coming out, trying to figure out: am I a top? Am I a bottom? Am I a side? Am I verse?
Right. Right. And you could be side verse where you're a side, but sometimes you'll top and sometimes you'll bottom. So I have never done any of that. My hole is closed and I don't want to see your hole. I'm not into any of that. I'm just never been, but I always had so much shame about it because everyone's fucking and, talking about topping and bottoming. And then as I got older, I just started coming out more and more about it. And I was talking with some friends one day and I was like, I'm not a top. I'm not a bottom. Maybe I'm just a side. I was joking like a box and we all laughed. And I thought, well, why is that funny? Why can't that be a thing? Right. And, I I coined it in 2013. I put it on Huffington Post, an article about it. It really wasn't until I got on TikTok and then Grindr discovered me and heard the term and it became more popular. And then I started a Facebook group. We have 10,000 men in this Facebook group of sides. And they taught me, hey, sometimes I do like to top. Sometimes I like to bottom. But it's not the norm. My norm is I'm a side. Some guys are into rimming. Some guys like fingers in there. Some guys like toys. I don't like any of that. So I had to say to myself, all right, there's different types of sides. I would call myself an orthodox side. I've never done anything. I'm a gold star side, I guess.
You're a
But
gold.
there are
Yeah.
other ways. And some guys have to be sides for medical reasons. It's painful or
Yeah.
whatever. But I feel so proud. It's my proudest accomplishment in this field to contribute a term that now is used everywhere. When I go around the country, I get on Grindr myself and I see all these sides and I want to cry that
Yeah.
people have and people always ask me, do you make any money? No, you can't coin a term. And as soon as somebody discovers they're a side, they drop out of therapy. They're like, there's nothing wrong with me. Hooray. And they're gone. And good for them.
That's great. So do you find then? I guess that is it helping to destigmatize? I guess is
Yes.
what comes to mind here.
Yes, except that what it's also doing is illuminating the stigma that you can't begin to believe. If you watch any of my videos on any social media about sides, gay men are vicious. Oh my God, you're boring. You're asexual. You haven't met the right guy. Like we're lesbians or something, like, because that's what they would say to lesbians. You haven't met the right guy. You haven't had it done right. This or that. It's really shitty. And what it is these guys are only, they're like, then what do you do? Like as if penetration is the only, like you never
Only
heard of
thing,
outer
yeah.
course. You don't do anything before or after you're topping or bottoming, then you're boring.
Well, and people evolve. I mean, when you come out as gay, you may be a top. You may come out as a bottom. You may, however, you're going to come out. I mean, for myself, I was a top for 30 some years. I want to experience something different,
Right.
but I don't want to like pigeonhole myself as this is who I am because I'm still evolving. I really don't know who I am yet.
Right. Right.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And it does
Yeah.
evolve. Your sexuality and your erotic
Yeah.
interests evolve over a lifetime.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think it depends on the partner also,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think kind of along those lines, as you just said, Joe, there can be a viciousness in the community, and I think one of the things that I've seen a lot of us struggle with is now you're coming out and you're coming out at this stage of your life. It's like, where do I fit? Where do I fit?
Yeah.
We were
Right.
talking about this in some other episodes where kind of this question that comes up: am I gay enough? Like, do I fit in, or how do I fit in? Or when I'm
Yeah.
in a gay setting, am I gay enough? And now if I'm not in a gay setting, am I too gay? It's like and trying to figure that out.
That's so true.
It can be very challenging, and then again, the stigmas and the viciousness that can come out can make it even harder.
Yeah.
I think gay bullying is awful. They're worse than mean girls. Really worse than
I
women are to other
agree.
women. Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree because at one point in time, we were the ones being bullied. We were the ones afraid. We were the ones saturating ourselves in shame. And when you come out as gay, it's why wouldn't you just want to love your community and love these people that have struggled or that, are at some phase in life where you once were. So I just see it as being welcoming, being kind, being supportive. I don't understand the hate and the bullying that goes along
I
with it.
think it's because it's happened to us, so people do it to each other. And I don't care if you don't like me. I don't need all this love and all. I just need you to let me live my life and not trespass on what works for me. That's what I want.
I agree.
So you've been doing this work for a long time. You said you came out when you were 11. Um, as you sit here today, what's your assessment of, I'd say, the gay community? How have you seen it evolve? And how do you see things now in general society for the gay community?
There's a lot of positives. I just came back from Provincetown and then Saugatuck. I went a couple times this summer in Michigan. Um, I love seeing young guys being able to just be carefree. They don't have to, there's no worry. They're all, they're on the apps or they're in the bars and they're walking around Provincetown holding hands. And I just think, I feel really proud that I was part of making that happen for them. And I did all that advocacy. My husband and I did all that advocacy. I love all that. What I don't like is, and it's really upsetting, and I don't know if it's only in social media. I mean, I'm on social media a lot and I'm producing content all the time. But I don't love that we haven't made any progress where people think if you have sex with somebody of the same sex, you're either gay or bi. That what you do in bed is who you are. I fought my entire gay life, even as a sex educator and therapist, that no, what you do in bed doesn't necessarily define you. And the younger generation, they're all about and they're negative about intergenerational relationships, where my generation was all in favor of that and supportive of that. So and then just the I don't know. I guess if I'm going to say one more negative, it's the gay male community lacking kindness and support for the trans and the non-binary and even the bisexuals. It just bothers me that here I've been, and when I say, by the way, I've been out since 11, I told my mother I was gay when I was 11. I wasn't like, hey, I'm gay. It wasn't like that. It wasn't until, you know what I mean? It was in steps. But
Yeah.
it just feels bad that all these years later, we really haven't made a lot of progress, too.
And what about the political climate today, where we're at? Mark and I talk about this on the show almost every week when we're recording. There's something new that's happening. There's something new that's on the agenda to be taken away from us. Or what you have clients that are coming out, or they come to you with the fears of where we're at. What do you say to these people in a way to support them and maybe calm them in their
Yeah.
fear?
Here's what I say. I know a lot of people are frozen. We're packed here in my clinic because of this. That it just, everyone's so frightened in the LGBT community, understandably. I tell people, do what I did in the 80s. Get active. We used to have parties where we have mailing. We don't do mailings anymore so much, but we would, get together and do advocacy and, picket signs and, rallies and, or I think I think you have to do more than clicking on your keyboard. Okay, I supported it. I did my little thing. It's people with people helping people doing for our community. That's what I say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's
right
more
now, you
important than
think that's
ever.
going to work? You think that's enough?
I don't know if it'll. I don't know if it's enough, but I think it'll empower us rather than staying home and being scared and petrified and, oh, I'm so helpless. No, get out there and don't be helpless. Do what you can do. And it may not work, but you still tried. And it may work in other ways that we don't even know yet.
Yes.
And
Okay.
the other thing I'll add to that is absolutely get out there and be active, be an activist in whatever way you can, but also recognize what are the things that are within our control, within our communities, within our lives. And I'll go back to what you were just saying, Dr. Joe, in terms of, be kind to each other, support each other in our community. Like how can we break down more of those barriers? Because the more we have barriers within, and I know it's even using the term gay community, right? It's not like, well, there's
Right.
all,
We're not.
but recognizing there is a commonality here, that brings us together, and we've got to find. I don't have to go and date you or have sex with you, but we're all in this together. How do we support each other, even in our small communities, wherever you might be?
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
I've been all about as a therapist in the gay community, trying and doing whatever I can. Even the little impact that I feel I've made, I feel really good about. But I don't, you can't do anything about the bigger community that isn't doing that kind of thing. And you just
Yeah.
have to find your own tribe, like you said.
Yeah. So focus on the things that are within our control and
Yeah, I love
let
it.
go of the
Yes.
rest. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I love that too.
What other advice or topics or things for guys coming out later in life, if they're just on the early part of their journey? Maybe they've, kind of come to that discovery or acceptance of their own identity and are unsure about what to do next. What advice would you have for them?
I would say it's okay to have internalized homophobia. It's become a bad word in our culture. Like there's something wrong with you. It comes with learning that there's, the enemy is within. With the very thing we've been taught to hate is now inside us. And the longer you're in the closet, the more internalized homophobia you're going to have. So it's not about accepting it. Well, I'll just, accept my gay shame. It's understand there's nothing wrong with me for having gay shame. And it's even all these years later, still have a little bit of internalized homophobia. There are layers to it, and accept it. And, make sure that you find people that you have. I guess I would also say be careful about trying to be included all the time. I don't feel like the gay male community is very inclusive. It's exclusive. There's pockets of people that are groups, and if you feel left out and you keep trying and trying and trying and you're not able to get into these groups, or you're not able to create a group, then make your own, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
let the gay community take you down or bring you down or keep you outcasted.
Okay. It's interesting what you said about homophobia. And when I thought of myself as gay, I wasn't homophobic. I actually supported the LGBTQ plus
Hmm.
community from, inside. It's like if I noticed a person struggling with their sexuality, or, there was a petition to sign, or there was something to support, I was very supportive of it because inside I knew that that was secretly me. I didn't
Hmm.
have a homophobia of it because it existed inside of me.
That's great.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're lucky. Yes.
Okay. I had compassion. I had compassion for the people that I knew were living the life that I felt inside.
I think another thing to think about is to not be nasty to those that are still in the closet. It used to be we were easy
Yeah.
targets if we were out. Now people are easy targets when they're still in. And
Yeah.
I don't like it either. I hated it when some of the comedians like Rosie O'Donnell or Ellen or Jack from Will and Grace, Sean Hayes were in the closet, and they'd be asked if they were gay and they wouldn't say it at the time. It bothered me, but I understood it because you come out at your own timeline.
Yeah.
You can't force somebody to come out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And
I
even once you
agree.
do come out, it's, as so many people have said, it's not a one-time thing, because it's you came out to your mother. That doesn't mean you were out to the world, right? I mean, for each of us, we've all had our own paths. And even when you are out, especially when you've lived one life for so long, you're constantly coming out. And, but you've got to do that on your own pace. Yeah. We've talked about, a lot, when do you tell, when do you tell your kids? Do you tell your friends? When do you tell your friends? Do you come out at work? How do you come out at work? And it is a process, and you've got to do that on your own time, your own schedule.
That's
There's
right.
no right
And
way
make
to
your
do
own
it.
decisions.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
sister
Yeah.
had 3 boys and a girl, and when her first boy was born, and I would participate in raising them and going to their preschools, I was not out in their preschool. And one day, Jacob wanted to sit on my lap, and I'm like, okay, he was in preschool. I was like, come on, Jake. Now little Johnny sees it. He goes, Jojo, can I sit on your lap? I was like, fuck. So I'm like, I wasn't going to say no, so I let the little boy sit on my lap, but I was like this, so everyone could see where my hands.
Yeah.
And I had a mother said to me, "Don't worry, we all know you're gay. Put your hands down." I'm like, "Oh, that's so good. How did you know I was gay?" I was like so bothered by that at the time.
Yeah.
But the whole idea is you decide when and where you want to come out,
Yeah,
like you said.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lesson for me also, because I have somebody that's struggling with coming out, and they're married.
Any final closing thoughts or remarks for today?
When I told my Jewish bubby I was 20 years old and I told her I was gay, and she looked at me and she said, "Joey, gay schmay, just don't be alone." I'll never
Mm,
forget it.
that's wonderful.
And I would say those are my final words. Don't be alone. It doesn't mean you have to be in a relationship, but
Yeah.
find your tribe.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Very
And
important.
finally, before we wrap up, just tell our listeners where can they find you, find out more about your work, your resources.
Yep, they can find me everywhere, really. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn. My handle is at Dr. Joe Kort, DrJoeKort. And then I have a website, joekort.com, where my podcasts are and my books are and T-shirts for sides and all that stuff. So I'm easily Googled.
All right.
Right.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Joe Kort, for joining us today. This has really been a phenomenal conversation. And to all of our listeners, we thank you, as always, for listening and watching. Send us your feedback at cominginsideout@gmail.com. And like us, leave a comment on your favorite podcast app. And thank you for, again, joining us today. And
Thank you.
Brian, as
Yeah.
always, great to see you.
Thank you so much. All right. That was great.
Thank you, guys. That was so
Thank
easy and
you.
nice. And thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, no, this was super. Thank you
Wow.
for taking the time. Really, really, truly appreciate it. You bring some great
Yeah, so many of the guys in our
perspective.
community are struggling. They're struggling to come out, or they are out and they are like kids in a candy shop.
Yes.
And, you know, I always say I don't judge, but there's part of me, it's shock value. So I have a reaction to some of the stuff I hear because it's surprising to me.
Are you judging me,
It's
Brian?
Zero judgment. It's zero judgment, but it surprises me. So I have a reaction, but it's not a reaction of like shame on you or you're bad or whatever. It's just a reaction because it's not something that I've experienced or I knew about or that I've thought about for myself. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is all great information for our listeners.
Well, and we didn't say this, and I hear this a lot online, and I really agree with this. Just because we're all attracted to men doesn't mean we all have everything in common.
Right.
The only thing we have in common is attraction to men.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
All right. That's true.
Yeah.
And not even the same
Right.
type of man.
No,
That's right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I'm going to cut that and put it back in. Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. Are you
Absolutely.
still recording? Oh,
Absolutely.
you're still recording.
Yeah, I haven't hit the.
Oh,
I haven't hit
good.
the stop
Oh, I thought you
button
hit
yet.
the stop button, so we could.
No,
maybe paste that in
see, I
somewhere.
thought we could capture a couple
There you
of like
go.
little nuggets.
Get the outtakes.
During. Yes. So, all right.
All
Well,
right.
thank you.